Thanks for joining today's snapshot for Friday, the 26th of June. I want to have a happy ending to this snapshot for all of you watching, and especially for the people of Dr. Martin Luther Church, because you deserve a happy ending. Earlier this week, I told you about the hanging of Thomas More because he would not go along with Henry VIII's Supremacy Act, where the king was supreme over the Pope in the church. And I told you about Michael Servetus being burned at the stake in Calvin's Geneva in the 16th century as well. So today I'm going to talk about somebody from the 16th century who died of natural causes at age 73 in 1637. The people of Dr. Martin Luther Church deserve a happy ending because you've been so cooperative with our announcement that we are not going to have indoor worship this week, or the next couple of weeks at least, because we're going to have outdoor worship. We think it might be safer. We'll be at 10 o'clock on Sunday, or you can watch online. Well, here's the happy ending story. John Granger was born in the mid-16th century, same time period as Thomas More and Michael Servetus and Calvin. And he was born in England and raised an aristocrat. His parents educated him in Oxford, in Paris, and in Rome. And in Rome, he became a Jesuit. He had been tutored in Latin and Greek, so he was well equipped to become a Jebi, as they call themselves. And the Jesuits went to England to maintain Catholicism, which had been outlawed by Henry VIII. As you know, he had that conflict with the Pope. Well, when he went to England to support the Catholics there, he was arrested at the port. Henry VIII had guards at every port, stopping people who were Catholics and throwing them in prison. John Granger was thrown in a couple of prisons, one of which in London was called the Clink. They don't know if the word the Clink that we use now as a nickname for a prison came from that prison, or if the prison was called the Clink because of the sound of the bars and the chains. In any event, he got out after about a year and went back to Rome and received training to be, further training to be a missionary again to Roman Catholics in hiding in England. So he went back. And guess what he did? They should make a movie about this. I loved when I was a little boy seeing movies like Robin Hood down at the Family Theater for 15 cents. I'd pay a lot more money than that to see a movie about John Granger. He went back as an aristocrat, which was fitting because of his background. He wore fashionable clothes. He became adept at gambling. He learned falconry, and while the police were on his tail, he went from place to place of finding refuge in country estates, hiding often in what were called priest holes. One week he spent 4 days in a priest hole, a hidden room behind wainscoting or closet doors, hiding from people searching for him. And he was successful until finally he was arrested and thrown in the Tower of London. There he was hanged by chains from his wrists for days at a time, never giving the names of other Catholics as they wanted him to do. He finally escaped with the help of a jailer who he helped then escape from the Tower of London. He escaped by means of a rope over a moat, hanging and making his way across that moat. It's a great story. I'd love to see the movie. He went back to Rome and died a natural death after living several more decades. And he was charged by the Jesuits to write a story about his life in England called The Autobiography of a Hunted Priest. Came out in 1950 in English. I'm looking forward to reading it. Well, we're going to conclude with this hymn, which would never make it into our hymnal today because of its male-centric language. It was written by a man named F.J. Gilman, who wasn't much of a poet, but he did write a book on English hymnody. And the tune was written by John Hatton. The tune is called Duke Street. And you'll know the tune very well. It's the tune to 3 hymns in our hymnal. It's called Duke Street because John Hatton lived on Duke Street, and that's all we know about him. Well, here's the verse. God send us men of steadfast will, patient, courageous, true, and strong, with vision clear and mind equipped, his will to learn, his work to do. God bless you. See you this weekend, either online or at 10 outdoors.